So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is trained by ANBU for Chunin exams. Part 3. If you guys enjoy this, what if, and want to see part 4, comment down below. And let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends. And check out the description. And check out my playlist. So let's start the video. Chapter 9. To say Sasuke Uchiha slept poorly would be like saying Naruto liked ramen. He barely slept after getting his gear packed. For a boy who only wanted to be left alone to train on his own, he did not know how to handle being ignored. And worse, he did not even realize why it bothered him so badly. He had been pushed, nothing given to him. He felt stronger already, and none of the fangirls were around, even the bleached bimbo and the pink, no, it all left him alone. But the fact that the chief was ignoring him, never saying a thing, it bothered the boy, made him feel weaker than he thought he was. The clock chimed 5, and Sasuke was up hoping to be there early. He noticed that the dobe and his friends were always there before him. He would not call the treatment they got as special, but they did get some attention, even the Uchiha noticed their improvement. If the fool and his loser friends could improve from the chief's guidance, just imagine how well he would improve once the chief started to train him. Arriving soon after Sasuke was disappointed, Naruto and his friends were there. If Naruto slept, no one noticed as he slowly moved around, waking everyone. Well, almost everyone. Choji and Shika tried to wake Kiba repeatedly. In the end, they made the decision to just take him with them, so Choji just put the boy on his shoulder and they carried them to the Iki home, where they found both Hinata and Kurenai up, dressed, and with a pack on their backs. Naruto quickly handed each a scroll for them to seal their stuff in. Good thing too, as not 2 minutes later Anko arrived, her gear already stored in a seal, not as good as Naruto's. She climbed on Kurenai's back and promptly fell asleep. What is the deal with Anko? Naruto asked as they walked. They were met by Asuma, who answered the question. They were at the academy together, her, Anko and Yugao, he started. There was a sparring accident and Kurenai broke Anko's ankle. Well, Anko hated the crutches, so to repay her for the injury she just had Kurenai carry her around. And it sorta stuck. I am pretty sure Kurenai doesn't even notice anymore. That actually makes sense, Shino replied as he walked. Okay, what have you got, Shika? Naruto asked, and the two awake adults looked at him, then the Nara. We know the chief is old enough to amass that much for his daughter's dowry, and from what I have figured out he is not a Hyuga, but Hinata's grandmother was a member of the main house. So, the chief has some serious connections with the court of the Fire Lord to be able to marry a main family member, especially 30 or more years ago. Very hardcore traditionalists back then. He knows the political game of clans even if he does not play it. If met with a stubborn member of a clan, he just bull rushes his way through. Shino added. My guess is he has plans for dealing with most clans that would challenge him. As well as the money and respect of others to pull it off. Page level chakra, control and a summoning contract with the Monkey clan, Choji added. Only the toads and the slugs have as much respect in the land of fire. We do not have bingo books from other countries. Hinata joined in, shocking Kurenai a little. So, we are unable to tell what other countries feel or even know about him. Still trying to figure out who he is? Kurenai asked. Don't lie, we know you also want to know. He is changing the village, Asuma spoke after the kids nodded. And I can give you a little help. This is the bingo book from Kumo, though it was the one from 10 years ago. Handing them the book. This is all the information I am allowed to tell. Shino took the book and read. Name? Kuzai. Surname? Unknown. Blood type? Unknown. Age? Unknown. Village? Konoha. Birthplace? Land of Demons. Note. 47 Shinobi died to gain this piece of information. Title? Chief Instructor of all ANBU and Special Unit Forces and lead assassin of the Leaf Village. Hey, does that mean we are a special force? Naruto smiled. Not yet, Asuma replied, but winked. Skills. Unknown, ranked high as Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, Gyukujutsu, prefers fist weapons, and Kenjutsu, if it is forbidden he probably knows it. Said to have cage level across the board. Known to be weak using Jinjutsu but developed skills to counter all Jinjutsu as well as Taijutsus. Notes. Brutal and aggressive, known to skin humans alive. Has a pure hatred for anyone regardless of the village that takes part in the human trafficking trade and any and all sexual assaults. Unknown how many assassinations completed, as he rarely ever leaves evidence that he was there, believed to have completed hundreds of B, A, and S ranked missions. Has, in fact, helped every village in dealing with human traffickers. In ranking of speed, it goes. Ranking contested between countries. 4th Raikage, of Kumo. Yondaime Hokage of Konoha Minato Namikaze. Chief Kuzai of Konoha. Not as fast as the Raikage, but is ranked a close second in power, again contested between countries. Final note. There is no flee on side order as with Namikaze. If you meet Kuzai in combat, it is either kill him or he kills you. If you run you just die tired. The only known survivors of combat with him are ones he wants alive. Bounty. 500,000 dead, 5 million alive, do not recommend trying for this one. They make him out to be a boogeyman of some kind, Choji replied as he started to eat his morning snack. And he is, Asuma replied. Walking into the clearing found that they were first again, no sight nor sound could be heard. But it was not long before the Uchiha arrived, this was the first time he was not the last to arrive. Itachi left his room with his pack on his back. He met Neji as they walked into the front room. He too had stored his gear in a scroll his teammate had made, nodding they turned to leave. And were met by a person neither had expected to see that morning. Kyoko was up packed and dressed in her Jonin Shinobi uniform. He is as pissed off at me as he is at you too. Maybe more, best not to be late, she spoke and led the two males out the door. Mother. Neji started slowly. I do not know what to think at this moment. We are the same, I am his daughter, he raised me from the moment I was born. I do not know where we go from here. She replied as they quickly made it to the clearing. Training ground 93, she started. It has been many years since I came to this hell. Neji was shocked, he had not spoken with his mother in years. But he did not remember ever hearing her speak so common. This time they stayed at Sakura's house, and again they somehow ended up sharing the bed. This was never planned and all the time they were friends, yet it always happened. They woke and dressed when they made it to the kitchen, both their mothers were sitting at the table. How are you two not beat? They were just as hard on you as they were us, Ino asked. We are shinobi, retired or not. The training you are getting will help you if you choose to continue, Sakura's mom replied and drank her tea. What does that mean? Sakura asked. You both wanted to be Kenoichi, why? Ito asked her daughter and the pink girl. Do you want to still be one after hearing my story? It is not the fairy tale you read about in books. It is dirty, nasty, hard, and most of the time the food sucks and the sleep is short. In time the pay is never enough, the only way to last as a Kenoichi of the leaf is because it is what you want to be, for yourself no one else. It has to be what you want. Both girls realized their mother caught onto that damn fangirl knight in shiny armor and the princess delusion they both have. Or had as it was now gone. So, what did they want? Axe strapped to their back they both found themselves walking into the clearing, not sure when they actually left Sakura's house. Soon after the girls, Lee and his team had shown up, Tenten had, in fact, made several scrolls for storage to loan the group, even the Uchiha, though he just took the scroll without even a thank you. Lee was bouncing with energy as he smiled and waved to Naruto. Neji with a push from his mother joined his team as they talked. A woman no one knew walked into the clearing. She wore a flak jacket and had her hair braided down her back. She spoke very little and stayed to herself. Next, she was followed by three men, Iruka-sensei, the instructor Genma and the third Naruto known as the special Jonin Raiden, who had a scar from his nose to the side of his face. Uchiha had been there as well again feeding everyone, but he urged them to all eat quickly and as soon as the last people were fed began to break down his tables and stored all his cooking gear into 3 packs for transport and waited. As the clock hit 6, Chief appeared without a sound and stared at everyone. Kiba was quickly dropped by Choji who woke with a start and with just a glare from the chief was up and ready to go as he ate some food Choji had saved for him. Good, most if not all of you used storage scrolls for your gear, that is a good habit to start, he spoke. The truth was only 4 people kept their packs on their back. Asuma, Hiashi, Guy, and Kyoko. But unseal them all of you, except for Naruto, Lee, and Choji, you can keep yours in the scroll. Following orders, they unsealed their gear and a chief's word slung them on their backs. You 3, Chief started as he looked at the pack of boys and pointed at the 3 packs that the cook had prepared. Not needing to say a word the 3 grabbed the packs, each was full, heavy and had a large pot hanging off the back. Lee even grabbed the folded table that the cook had planned to carry himself. Now. March, Chief ordered as he pointed to a trail none of them had seen or used before. Well most henned, deep inside the 4 that had been here before groaned at the memory. Then the rain started. The Hokage sat in his office and watched the globe, a shiver went down his spine as the word march was spoken. He prayed that the chief kept his word about not killing them, of course, it wouldn't be the first time someone died before they made it to the actual camp. He has never broken his word before, Enma the Monkey King spoke as he stood behind the Hokage. No one can take that march and not fear when he gives the order to start, 40 miles, full pack, and once again it is raining. It is believed he can actually control the weather. We have never proved it, the old monkey replied. And we never will, the Hokage replied, nodding. To the day ahead, did the chief tell you how he planned to keep Danzo under control while he is away? Said something about a gift. Danzo was getting worried, it was starting on the 3rd day since he sent the team and nothing was heard back. He sent the team to look for a way to kill Kuzai, he did not think it would be quick or easy, but he had hoped to hear something, he knew the chief would take the group to that camp, that was a long march and easy to get lost during. Danzo-sama, we have found the team. One of his rude ANBU arrived looking more shaken than the Warhawk would normally allow. Where are they? He barked. In their barracks. That caught the man and he quickly stood and led the way to the barracks. They're on the beds. In fact, Danzo noticed that each boy was in fact on the correct bed, were the dead bodies of the assassin team he had sent. Throats and stomachs slashed, it was clear they had been dead just a few days. Danzo wondered how long after he sent them out before the chief found them. Now Danzo was worried, Chief was onto him or worse, ahead of him. Contact all agents, pull them back to base. I want to know if anyone else is dead. We are on lockdown. Danzo ordered as he left the room. So, what is the plan? Tsume asked as she looked at the Naras, the Akamichi and the Yamanakas. Just then Sakura's parents arrived followed by the Aburams. They sat in a private office hidden in the village. I think it is best to be seen training and doing missions again, Ito spoke. Many feel that the older shinobi and Kenoichi of the village have become too laid back. Do you think we have spies active in the village? Shino asked. Apart from the chief's return, the gossip mills are working overtime looking for information on the Uchiha and the rest of the class. Someone is asking more questions than normal. The regal woman replied. What few knew was Ito Yamanaka was not just a gossip queen with a flower shop, she used her skill in gossiping to plant false information, as well as hear about what is being said or asked elsewhere. Choza? Kai? Tsume asked. Bars and taverns are all over the place, Choza started. Something is up, but no way to pinpoint who is actually asking the questions. Whoever it is, they are not looking in the brothels, Kai replied. Neither the straight nor gay have noticed anything unusual. Tsume nodded if there was anything going on in the red light district Kai would find it, as the medical nin that mostly takes care of the girls she is on sisterly terms with all the house mothers, who are in fact themselves. So, we know we have a spy or a few spies, they are asking questions in a way that it does not look like they are asking and use the basic gossip circles to do the legwork. Tsume spoke as she looked at her notes. Yet they avoid the brothels. They must know we put active Kenoichi in there to spy on who's calm. On who hangs around there. Damn it. She cried as she realized avoiding the pun walked her right into the second pun. The group chuckled. We are looking for a medical ninja of Konoha, Shibi's wife Midori said. That would be the only way he would know that we slipped the Kenoichi into the houses. The group nodded. Kai, ask around, find out how many medical ninja we have, and keep an eye out for one that is quieter than the rest. Including Genin in the search, Tsume ordered the large woman. Ito. How's the information about Uzumaki's grades? As far as the village knows as well as the paperwork, it hasn't changed. Dead last with no real skill. Yamanaka replied. Keep it that way, in fact. See if we can make the idiot seem well. Dumber, and while you're at it. Make the Uchiha seem better than the village already thinks he is, make it sound like he is the next god of shinobi. The gossip queen nodded. The group was quiet as they looked over the notes when Midori started to chuckle only to slip into full laughter. Something you wish to share with me? Tsume asked. Oh, just thinking, she replied. If Chief had not returned I could see all of us adults sitting around not doing a damn thing. Any important work would be carried out by the young kids about to start their genin years. None of us would be ready for a war and the first couple attacks on the village would have to be handled by the youngest ninja in the village while the veterans sit around and look like a bunch of incompetent fools, she finished with a sour look in her eyes. The group stared at her husband read that look better than anyone, she was not impressed with the village she moved to after meeting her husband. Shibi knew his wife Kenoichi from Tanigakure village hidden in the valleys, in the land of rivers, expected that the Leaf village was stronger and better equipped for things than her smaller village. What she found was a very fat lazy village with a select few shinobi doing all the hard work and a civilian council so corrupt it made her laugh in anger. Also, she enjoyed watching a blonde child run rings around the older shinobi she actually noticed Naruto before Chief returned and regularly encouraged the Aburam to build closer ties with the boy. As a mother, she was proud when she learned her son had done just that. As a Kenoichi, she was thrilled that her son was able to hide his skills while doing it. I want to argue that, Ito spoke. I want to argue and refute and dismiss your claim. But we can't, Mibuki finished. Because you are probably right. Good thing this village had a Hokage that could hold the line, otherwise this village would have been doomed years ago. Aburam Kenoichi spoke. He did not really hold. Kizashi spoke. He held it long enough for Chief to get back, Choza started. True, a lot of mistakes were made, but nothing that can't be fixed now. We are back in the game. This is going to get a hell of a lot worse before it is fixed, and we can't keep the kids out of it. Inoichi spoke as he put a teacup down. All we can do is help them. The death march continued, the rain never let up, and everyone was cold, sore and tired as they walked in a line. After a while, it was simply a matter of putting one foot in front of the other. The ground was rocky and uneven and slick as hell, the trail itself was no better than a path a foot wide, and if you weren't careful you could lose it. The trees and brush were thick, and everyone lost track of where they were heading. Niji's mother actually took the lead with Hiashi, and they seemed to know where they were trying to go. The trail cut back and forth, they walked around a large cliff, and in the middle, the trail was still just a foot before a massive drop-off down the side of the cliff. Hinata slipped and almost fell till Naruto caught her wrist. As he pulled her up the edge of the trail he stood on and gave out under him. Both Naruto and Hinata would have fallen had Choji not caught them. Helped by Shino, the two boys pulled up the blonde and the shy girl. They were not the only ones. Once they passed the cliff face, Sakura slipped and Ino did as she tried to help her. Sasuke actually grabbed the girls and helped them to their feet with only a pair of thank you from the girls. Sasuke was shocked. He expected the two to moon over him like normal. "Shino. Time?" Shikamaru called out. Shino checked his wrist only to find said watch missing. "Seems I have lost my watch," he replied. Few could hear his alarm and concern in his voice. Those that knew what to look for. "No, you didn't," Asuma replied calmly, and when Abiram looked back at him the smoking Jonin just pointed up front. There Shino spotted Chief as he held Shino's watch. "When did he get that?" Naruto asked, just as shocked as the rest of the boys. "Keep moving," the chief called out and pocketed the watch. "He is using time as our enemy," Shikamaru spoke up. "We tend to attack time to help us move through the chore of the moment," Shino nodded. "Seems he saw that. We will need to come up with other tools." "Can I complain yet?" Naruto asked as he kept moving a hand on Hinata's back to keep her steady. "He will cane you," Choji replied. "Might be worth it," the blonde chuckled. Crack. Naruto rubbed his head as the chief just returned to the front watching the others. "I was wrong," Naruto spoke as he massaged his scalp. They started down a very steep wet hill covered in leaves and loose underbrush. Twice Naruto and Shino had to catch and stop Choji from going down. If one fell here they could easily slide down the rest of the hill. Sasuke lost his feet and landed on his ass, but before he could get back up the mud and clay gave way and he started sliding quickly feet first. Till Sakura and Ino, who were still in front of him, each caught an arm. It took both of them together to hold Sasuke before Tenten came down the trail to help get the boy safely back to his feet. He grunted his thank you and just kept going. "Still an ass," Tenten voices out loud as she motioned for Sakura and Ino to start ahead of her. Not 20 feet down the hill the trail did a sharp 90 degrees at another cliff face. Though he never spoke, he realized that if the girls had not helped him, he might have gone off the edge. Down and down they went, some places so slick and steep they had to hold the rock wall. Naruto learned that he could not grip anything with his chakra. "The rain," Shino started. "It is not natural, it is human-made and infused with chakra." "Again, this march," Shikamaru started. "Is another of the chief's multi-lessons." They reached the bottom, in the low part of a crevice between two hills, and what they saw disheartened most of the group. The trail continued. Up another hill just as steep and muddy as the one they had just come down. After a groan everyone started up the hill. Going down was bad. Up was hell. Many places were so steep they had to basically crawl on hands and knees in the mud just to get up. This hill was worse than the last. It zigzagged back and forth as it climbed up higher and higher. The rain came down harder. People started sliding more, even the adults. Iruka had to grab Guy, Genma grabbed the woman no one recognized. Asuma was saved by Raiden. Neji twice caught Sakura and Ino, and Lee was basically having to hold onto the harness of Tenten's pack. Naruto and Kiba took hold of Hinata, who was holding Akamaru. The puppy was soaked and tired and brown from mud. Shino and Shikamaru had to hold Choji. They all reached a landing that Kyoko had stopped at. When asked what was up to, she just pointed at the hill they still had to climb. It was too steep, of thick mud, and as the rain grew harder, had a river running down it. It also had a rope that ran down the center of the trail. "Okay, has he changed his mind?" Naruto asked, looking at the nightmare. "Is he now trying to kill us?" Anko just painted, she was sore, muddy and scratched all over. "Right now, I would not doubt it. If he wanted us dead," Kyoko replied. "He would not have wasted all this time." Sasuke did not speak, he couldn't, he just grabbed the rope as the Hyuga's motioning and started to climb up. His feet slipped out from under him, walking was out, and he started to pull himself up the rope. Next was Lee and his whole team, followed very slowly by Anko and Kurenai, then Raiden and Genma. Then the woman and Asuma. At the ropes, Naruto ordered as they watched the groups in front of them head up. Quickly he tied each of them in a line with Choji at the back and Naruto and Shino first and second, with Hinata and Shikamaru fourth and fifth. Naruto handed Shino the rope as he peeked at Hiashi and Kyoko. They watched on and for a split second, the blonde swore he saw the woman grin. Pulling out two kunai, Naruto took the lead, kneeling and getting his knees placed on the hill, before using the kunai in each hand to stab in the mud and pull himself. As a team the six-person train slowly climbed, everyone working to help each other climb. The lightning started and the wind picked up. The groups ahead did find ways to work together, but there were a lot of slips and screams from everyone. Except for Naruto and his team, they just moved up the hill one kunai and one foot in front of the other. Lee did look back and seeing what the blonde was doing actually pointed them out. "No Lee, too late, remember for next time keep moving, we can't stop now," Guy shouted over the storm. Sasuke made the top as he got his feet under him. He let go of the rope and took a step only to come to the top of another hill, this one slowly gently going down into a valley. Those behind him reached his point, Naruto finally crested with his group and Kyoko being last. "That was a safe and youthful display, my friend," Lee said, too tired to yell and put out a thumbs up. Untying themselves, Naruto and crew just gave weak smiles and fist bumped Lee as they walked past. After taking a few breaths and looking at the wide open sun. Sunny. The kids looked around, the rain had stopped, they could still see the storm raging in the forest behind them, but they now stood in a warm breeze with the sun on their faces and their energy returning slowly. "Better move now is not the time to make him wait," Asuma spoke up and pointed. In the center of the valley was a camp with several wood-framed buildings with dark green canvas walls and roofs. The group walked over the field to the camp, they noticed it was built in a circle, all buildings set up around the fireplace in the center. Naruto looked at a building and saw Itachi waiting by the building's door. Naruto looked at the old man. Then behind him in the woods. Then back at the old man. "Okay, what do I miss?" Naruto pointed. "Did we not leave you at the start? There is a secret shortcut," Chief started as he walked to the group. "No, you have not yet earned the right to know about it. Not even at the end of this training will you learn it, you will all have to go back through those woods to get home." No one could hold it in, everyone, even the adults, minus the four, gave a loud, suffering groan. Ino and Sakura both hit their knees, Neji landed back on his ass, and Sasuke cursed the chief. "What is the catch?" Naruto asked after a moment and everyone stopped moaning and looked at him as he stared the chief down. "Good," Chief smiled. "The catch is you're not going back, but forward, what you just did was the first leg of what I call the gauntlet, there are 3 more legs to go, start to finish is 160 miles you have only completed the first 40, and it took you." Chief pulled out Shino's watch, and after looking at it, tossed it to Aburam. 8 hours, if you do not improve it will take a full 24 hours to get the last 3, and that storm drains your chakra. And it only ever gets worse. Till you make it back to that clearing, it will be hell. Naruto nodded and just walked over to the cook, Lee, and Choji following to deliver their cargo. After the drop-off said the cook quickly had the building he stood next to turned into his kitchen. The 3 boys returned to the group. "Now, for those who don't know, welcome to the ANBU training camp." The kids looked around as well as those who had not been there before. There were 3 large framed canvas buildings, one clearly the kitchen, another in the center where Naruto and the gang spotted the other instructors, Dog, Yugao, Hate, and Mai. As they stood waiting, canes in hand. Then there was a row of smaller 2-person frame and canvas tents. "When I call your names, don't make me call you twice. This is your only warning, Hiashi, Kyoko." The 2 moved quickly to stand before him at the first 2-man tent. "You both have been here before. Why are you here now, you ask?" "I am pissed." "Store your gear." Chief moved to the second, Asuma, Iruka when the 2 men arrived. "Asuma, you have been here before, you're back cause I want to make sure you are ready for your next mission. Iruka, you are the best teacher that academy has, but none took you seriously. After this week that will change. Store your gear." Raidm. Chief went to the next tent. "Raidm, I have heard good reports and you were recommended for a future mission, guy. You taught a kid to open a gate during a spar. That is why you are back." Genma, Tsubaki, Genma and the woman stepped forward. "You, like Raiden, have been well spoken about and are being looked at for a future mission," Chief told him then looked at the woman. "You, Tsubaki, knew that Mizuki was working for the snake and because you loved him, you kept quiet in the hope he would change his ways." His voice was not calm or soft, but he did look in her eyes. "Hope and love are powerful things I do believe in, they are 2 of the most important aspects of the Hokage's will of fire, but you spoke to him, you know his true feelings. This hell you are about to go through will help you get through the hell he put you in. Store your gear." "Anko and Kurenai," he called. "Kurenai, you're here for the same reason as Asuma. I wish to make sure you are ready for your next mission." "Anko. Ibiki wants you to improve and so do I plus the snake is making a move and will return. Are you ready for him? Store your gear." "Kids," the chief called and everyone walked forward. "Team 9, you are here cause your sensei wanted me to torture you." Though his foolish ass calls it training, he smiled as the 3 glared at Guy. "You kids," he continued as he looked at the rest. "I have just graduated from the academy. And none of you were ready. Either you were neglected, ignored, lied to." He stops and looks at Sasuke or catered to, that is given everything you had gotten. Sasuke puffed up ready to argue, but Dog appeared next to the boy and put a hand on his shoulder to shut him up. Chief just looked at his paper that was in his hand, frowning, he stared, then looked at Mai who just crossed her arms with a what? "Look, I call your names. Hinata Tenten, Lee Naruto, Choji Shikamaru, Shino Kiba, Sakura Ino, and Neji, Sasuke." Everyone moved quickly to find a tent, except Sasuke as he just stared at his tent partner, Neji just stored his gear. "If you don't like my choice I can always motivate you till you love it." Chief spoke to the emo prince, Sasuke was just smart enough to get the hint and so he stored his gear. This is your partner for the remainder of this training. You will eat, train, shower and sleep together. Though I will let you choose just how close you two get in regards to those last two. You will always know where your partner is. If I ask where they are and I here don't know. In any form I promise to the Hokage of not trying to kill you will become void. Understand? Good. That was the 1 hour break. Full counts begin. Groaning and moaning they hit the dirt. Chief and his 4 assistants kept the pace up with the sounds of the cane striking flesh. Seems with Anko no longer with the canes, the hope Sakura and Ino had was quickly cracked away. 3 hours passed slowly and they were not allowed to stop till Tucci rang his bell. That's it for the day, eat shower. He pointed to the third large hut and stopped again as he saw the men's sign and the woman's sign. And again, he looked at Mai who just crossed her arms. We start at 6 in the morning, so eat before. Tucci, when is the line open? He called out. 5 a.m., the cook called. And when does it close? 5:15 a.m. Dismissed. The group ate, washed and crawled into their beds and just passed out. Chief stood off in the woods and waited. Seriously, we talked about this, he spoke as he turned to face Mai. Do soon. Different world. Trust me, she replied. I don't know if we have time to go slow, he replied. Kai and I do that training. Let us do it. Some things take time. Your words. Smart ass, fine. He rubbed his temple. Just. Don't take too long, with any luck I can slow things down after this camp, but I can't promise it. Trust me. Chapter 10. Naruto opened his eyes, it was dark, and the pre-dawn insects were making their calls. Naruto wondered what had woken him for a second and thought about going back to sleep. Till the rustling of leaves caught his attention. Waking Lee with a hand over the loud genin mouth, Naruto nodded to the flap of the tent. Lee listened, and he too heard the leaves. Both boys quickly but silently slipped out of the tent. To come face to face with Dog. Can you be a bit quieter, Naruto whispered. I thought an ANBU captain knew how to move silently. Dog just turned his head as he stared at the boy. He was being silent, it seems the blonde really could track ANBU. Food will be ready in an hour, a voice spoke up. And the three turned to see Tucci walking up to them. Hey old man, Naruto called with a smile. Is it okay for you to be here, what about your stand? The cook just smiled. Hokage is compensating me very well for my time when the stand is closed. Well then. Glad you're here since I'm up I better start waking the others. Naruto smiled and turned to head for the closest tent. Lee turned to follow as the cook just looked at the silent Dog. Got you, again didn't he? The cook asked. Dog just nodded. Have you gotten sloppy or is he really that good? Here the Dog just looked at the blonde as he reached in and grabbed a foot of either Genma or Tsubaki. After a moment he looked back at the cook and shrugged. 50 minutes later, the cook replied and turned away. What do you want, Dobe? Sasuke growled and put his pillow over his head. Time to get up. Breakfast will be served soon, best not keep the chief waiting, Naruto replied as he turned to the next tent. Sasuke growled and cursed the dead sun before pulling the pillow off and sitting up. There he saw the Hyuga as he was dressing and getting his gear on. Ready Sasuke? Niji asked. Calling me by my first name? Sasuke got defensive. I had a talk with my mother, it seems there is a rule here in this camp. The only ones with titles are the chief and his instructors. Clans don't exist here, titles and honorifics do not exist here. We are all equal here. Sasuke just huffed as he got up and dressed. Naruto slipped his hand into the tent on the end but could not feel a foot. We are awake Yuzu. Naruto, Hiashi spoke from the tent. The boy just walked on as Hiashi and Kyoko sat on their beds and stared at each other. Ready for this Hiashi? She asked. 4 times I have sat on this bed, is anyone ever ready for this place? Was his reply. 10 times for me. And no. The two quickly moved from the tent and found almost everyone up and moving. Naruto made his way to Shino who stood outside the tent he shared with Kiba. Any luck? No, Shino replied. Naruto sighed, Akamaru, ear. The dog gave a yip and a scream was heard. As soon as the boy was awake, Naruto and Shino each grabbed a leg and pulled Kiba off his bed and out of the tent in one swift motion. Damn it. Kiba yelled as he looked up at the 2 boys standing above him. We have got to figure out a way to fix this. I can try waking you up from now on, a voice broke the 3 boys out of their huddle. As they looked up, Chief was standing next to them. Your mother had the same problem. As they looked up, Chief was standing next to them. Your mother had the same problem. I know I will regret this, Kiba started as he stood. But this dead man sleeping will kill a teammate if I can't figure it out. Okay. Chief nodded as the entire group got in a line outside the cook's kitchen. Sakura and Ino were grumpy, but awake, it wasn't due to tiredness. They were grumpy because Naruto had just opened their tent flap to wake them without knocking to grab their feet. They found it very rude that a boy just walked into the privacy of their girl's tent, but before they could yell, hit in the case of Sakura, he just told them to get up and walked away. As they stood in line, Sakura was about to demand Naruto never enter the girl's tent when Yugao stepped up behind her. "Silence, get it through your skull, there is very little privacy out in the field. You better get used to living in close quarters to others." Sakura just bit her lip as her brain finally kicked on as she remembered the lessons of the last few days. Down the line, Anko and Kurenai stood next to Asuma. "Is it always like this?" Anko asked. "No," Asuma replied. "He is going easy cause the kids are so young, normally the day starts at 4 in the morning and ends when he feels like it. Generally around midnight." Most of the older ninjas did not say much, the only problem they were having was the fact the orange-clad kid was the one to wake them. How did he move so silent was a question they asked themselves. At 5 the cook opened his mess line and everyone moved quickly gathering their food. By 5, after they had gotten their food and were busy eating in silence as the younger kids looked around. It was pre-dawn and there was a faint glow of red in the sky. Every second they ate the valley they were in seemed to open up more and more, for some this was a scene they had never witnessed before. They could see deer grazing nearby, some were just waking up from their own sleep. Shino mentioned how his colony felt. Well, something he could not explain, in the air of this place. "Well, since everyone in the world is awake at 5:30 in the morning, let's get this show on the road," Chief shouted as he finished his plate. "You said we start at 6, Sasuke argued. Causing a groan to come from Kyoko. "There is always one. So, maybe I lied, maybe I can't tell time, maybe Mr. I Hate Konoha is going to sneak into your camp and shove a kunai up your ass in the wee hours of the morning before anyone is up," Chief replied. "Get stretching, except you Uchiha. You get to wash all the dishes. You have 5 minutes." Sasuke gaped as he looked at the large pile of dishes sitting at the wash tubs of Tuchi's kitchen. Again, he looked to argue, but Dog came up, grabbed the boy's collar and moved him to the dishes and just put a plate and a rag in his hands. To everyone's surprise and a slight nod from Kyoko, Niji joined his partner and helped wash. The group stretched, Sasuke washed, it took him and Niji longer than 5 minutes, so they barely got started on his stretching when "Full counts begin," Chief called, and he and the 4 instructors with him quickly got the group going. Within seconds the sound of a cane cracking Sasuke was heard as Dog led into him for going too slow. Chief walked the group. Shino wore his normal coat but showed no signs of it affecting his workout. He knew the Aburim usually wore that style of coat to protect their allies and so learned to move in them very well. Most either wore shorts and a shirt of some kind. Hinata had worn her standard black legging, sleeveless top with a white shirt under it. She had gotten into the habit of removing her heavy coat before every workout. The older ninja wore their standard ninja gear but without their Chunin or Jonin flak jackets. Naruto wore his normal orange jumpsuit. "Boy," Chief called as everyone continued. A few started to stop thinking this part was over only to get the cane. "Why would a future shinobi be kill me orange? I like it. Orange. But. Mostly. It. Was. A gift," Naruto replied as he moved up and down. "Gift?" Chief asked. "No one celebrates me. Birthday with me, either. Cause. They. Don't. Like. Me. Or. Cause. It would cause. Them. Trouble with. The village." Naruto continued. "But. Every year. For the. Last 4. Years, one. Has. Left. Me. A gift. A large plush toad. A hippo sleeps. Sleeping cap. My. Gama-chan. Wallet and a pair of goggles. And my. Orange. Coat." Naruto listed. "I have not. Been. Able. To. Thank. Them. Properly." Here most of the group slowly looked at a very red blushing Hinata who fought like hell not to faint as she continued her exercise. "So, to show. How much. I appreciate their gift. I wore the coat. And found pants. That. Went. With it." Chief nodded and thought. "I will speak with your future Jonin sensei, he will be taking you to get better field wear. Maybe he will be able to safely incorporate orange into your style. That is very thoughtful of you. But that orange is going to get you or someone else killed." "Stop," Chief called after a while. Everyone was sweating and panting. "Katas. Begin." Sasuke was hurting, not being able to stretch before had cost him. He was growling and cursing the chief as he went through his forms. Niji could sense his partner's anger and just sighed internally. He knew a few days ago he would have also thought those same things, but his world was changing. He still wasn't sure about his future, but fate seems to be playing a new game. "Stop," Chief called as the sun was high in the air. "There is a trail around the lower edge of the valley. The last team to finish it cleans the dishes from lunch which is waiting for you. Oh, and the 1 hour for lunch starts when the first team reaches the table. Run." The Ashi, Kyoko, and Asuma quickly lead the group to the start of the trail, which was hidden by tall grass. Most of the group stayed together, but Sasuke bolted down the trail looking to be first. Niji sighed again as the older shinobi just shook their heads. "Better catch up, Niji, no doubt teamwork will be needed to finish this run," Naruto spoke. The older boy just looked at the blonde with an insult on his lips, but seeing the look in the blonde's eyes, he shook his head and rushed to catch up. "Unless the prick screws up again, Lee and I will take the last and do the dishes," Naruto called out to the group as they ran. "We know we are faster." Lee just nodded and most of the group returned the nod. "You don't always have to." Hinata started. "Yes, Hinata," Naruto interrupted. "I do." Of their large group they put Choji and Shika in the lead, setting the pace. The group stayed in a loose 2x2 formation, and they were right. The mud pit came out of nowhere and even Kyoko was caught by it. They saw Sasuke waist deep struggling to get free and Neji tried to help him, but the prick just brushed off the offered hand. It wasn't any easier for the rest and they quickly sank into the sticky clay-like substance. But they did help each other, Choji being able to power his way through while pulling Shika, Ino, and Sakura out of the stuff. Naruto and Lee pushed or helped any they could while keeping their group in front of them. As Naruto and Lee finally reached the other side of the pit, they reached to help Neji and Sasuke. Neji took the offered hand with a nod, but he again earned his title of the prick and batted away Naruto's hand. "I am trying to help. I don't need your help, I don't need anyone," Sasuke growled back. Naruto just stared at the child before reaching and grabbing Sasuke's shirt. "Lee grabbed my jacket." Lee got back into the mud about knee deep and grabbed the orange. Sasuke was trying to fight off the blonde, but Naruto would not let go. "Toji," Naruto called. Akimichi just grabbed Lee, set his feet and pulled all three from the mud. Sasuke landed on his knees and when Naruto let him go, jumped to his feet and tried shoving the blonde, but Naruto did not give or lose his footing, so Sasuke just started to run down the trail again. "You know," Naruto started looking at Neji. "I almost feel sorry for you, but you did treat Hinata like shit." The Hyuga boy just nodded and started to chase his partner as the rest of the group continued down the trail. The patch of thorns was next, most cursed as they would get stuck on the spikes. Hinata proved to be the most flexible, followed by Anko, who almost slithered through, and third was Tenten. Tsubaki did not speak much with the group as they ran past Neji and hung up Sasuke. She did notice that the blonde was about to again help the little Uchiha boy, but Shino and Kiba grabbed his coat saying, "He has to learn sometime." She and Gemma had talked some in a get to know your partner sort of way. She was a Kenoichi of the Leaf, but the recent stress from her ex-lover had thrown her off. In truth, she was glad to be away from the village and given the chance to work through her heartache even when she caught her hand on a thorn. "Is it always like this?" Kurenai asked, mimicking her friend's earlier question. "Basically," Kyoko replied, getting caught on a thorn. "Damn it, but he changes where the traps are so no one can get used to them." She sucked the blood on the back of her hand. Sakura and Ino were getting caught up. Every time they were stuck, stabbed or sliced, they would stop only for someone to tell them to keep going. Finally, they all made it through and everyone was scratched up and bleeding. "Patch yourselves up first before we continue," Hiashi shouted and pulled out his field first aid kit. Naturally, Sasuke did not listen and ran off down the trail. This time Kyoko stopped Neji and started to help patch up his wounds. "Don't worry, he won't get far." Dog watched from his viewing spot. He lifted his mask and rubbed his eyes. "Oh, this is hard to watch," Kakashi growled. "I have seen better teamwork from Danzo and his little cult," Chief replied as he stood next to the ANBU. "Why are you ignoring him?" Kakashi asked and looked at the chief. "I am not, I am waiting." Chief smiled. "For what? For the child to grow the fuck up and ask me a question," Chief replied as he left. Kakashi just lowered his mask back in place and continued to watch this painful show. The next obstacle was another mud pit, but this time barbed ninja wire was strung over the top, forcing everyone to crawl on their bellies through the mud and shit, Hiashi cursed everyone. "What?" Raid masked. "Ah shit, he laced the mud with manure," Hiashi answered. Sakura almost stood up under the wires in disgust, but Naruto grabbed her and pinned her down. "Hey, get off." She screamed. "Look." Naruto screamed and pointed. All along the wires were explosive tags, not big enough to injure badly, just strong enough to singe and hurt. "Hurry up, girl," Anko growled. "So, we are crawling through shit, it won't be the last time in our lives." Ino and Sakura paled as they went through as quickly as possible. Those with smaller frames made it through, while Choji got tagged twice, both being sliced twice by the wires and getting burned when a tag flared out. The older shinobi stopped and showed the younger ones how to move the wires for the large boy without getting sliced and how to disarm a few of the tags. They made it through and quickly stopped to wash the shit from them and out of the wounds to avoid infection. Hiashi could see that at least one of the two boys ahead of them did the same. He guessed it was Neji, and he would be right. A 40-foot wall with random hand grips spread out over it greeted them next. Sasuke was about halfway up and stuck. Neji had made it to the top and was trying to point his partner to the next grip. Said boy refused to listen. Lee and Guy went first as, like Neji and Tenten, this was a normal part of their training. Choji was looking up and wondering if he could make that. Using tree walking, Shika told his friend, "I know we haven't mastered it yet, but just take it slow, one move at a time." The Akimichi just nodded and reached for a hand grip and put his foot on another one using a little chakra to keep his foot in place. Sakura was scared, her family hadn't taught her those tree walking skills, so Ino, who admitted to having not paid much attention to her father, did her best to give the pink a quick run through. The older shinobi were faster up the wall, but they did help the younger ones that were having trouble. Raiden actually showed the kids how to use the tree walking exercise with their hands as well, though Kiba actually already knew it as it was one of his mother's favorites, running up walls and trees on all fours. Easier to chase cats is how she would say it. As they passed him, Naruto again offered to help the Uchiha. "I don't need any help, I have to do it by myself. Don't you get that?" Sasuke screamed, both in anger and some noticed a little panic. "Just go to Naruto," Neji spoke. "We will get there. Eventually." Naruto thought about it before nodding and finishing the wall. The whole group looked down and saw the Uchiha and just shook their heads before climbing down the other side, which was harder, and continuing the run. Before anyone realized it, the path arrived back at the camp and there waiting for them was food. As Anko and Kurenai reached the table, the first chief who was standing by it looked at his pocket watch and 1 hour lunch. Lee and Naruto stopped and stood to wait for Neji and Sasuke, willing to keep their promise of being last. That ended when Tenten and Hinata just walked over to the boys, grabbed their shirts and pulled them to the food. Another 30 minutes passed when Neji and Sasuke returned to camp. The emo was limping while Neji looked. He looked tired. The two boys quickly got their meals and started eating as Naruto finished his. "Asuma, Hiashi. Guy?" Naruto asked the three older men. "What did Chief mean when he said the Hokage made him promise not to kill anyone?" Hiashi looked at the boy and then at the rest of the group, all were staring at him. When the prospects for ANBU started the trip here, he started referring to the first leg of the gauntlet. There are normally 25 shinobi, all experienced, normally Chunin or higher, few have ever been taken as a genin. I do believe the number of trips taken over that first day, where no one died, can be counted on one hand with fingers left over. Counting our trek. People die getting here, Asuma continued. All the time. Normally ANBU training camp takes 3 months straight and the chief just had the habit of killing someone on the first day. Of that 25. On average, only about 14 make it back alive, Guy took the lead. This shocked the kids as they sat and thought about what they heard, even Sasuke listened. "Do you understand why he is so angry?" Kyoko spoke up. When almost everyone shook their heads. The ANBU was his pride, they were the best that the village had, he made them that way, the ANBU is a family, we are brothers and sisters on a level that can surpass our own blood family. And we were all his sons and daughters. And one of the first things he sees when he returns is you." Here she stopped and pointed at Naruto. "Making them all look like fools and chumps, the ANBU got lazy, all his passion and spirit. All the love and hate he put into them. Wasted." He felt insulted. She looked over at her father as he stood there leaning on the table eating as he listened. "Don't get us wrong, Naruto, you have the skill, we are not taking anything away from you," Guy spoke up. "We can see why the Chunin, Jonin and Elite Jonin had such trouble with that run. But he was insulted by how his ANBU failed. Do you know what this is?" Kyoko took back the lead as she showed everyone the tattoo on her right shoulder. "The mark of the ANBU?" Shino asked. Kyoko shook her head. "No, not all who have this mark are ANBU despite popular belief. This by itself is a badge of honor, it says. We survived the chief, what the hell can you do to us? Once you earn this mark," Hiashi spoke. "There are only two things you fear, the Shinigami as he is the god of death, and the chief. And at times, you would rather deal with a death god than an angry chief. And you pissed him off," Naruto spoke as he stared at the Hyuga. "From what you said, that had to be the second dumbest thing you ever did." They stared at the boy, everyone did. "What is the first?" Chief asked as he finished his meal and tossed his dish on a large pile of dishes. At this time Neji quietly went over to start washing, allowing his clan to treat Hinata that badly. As well as joining them in her mistreatment, Naruto growled as he looked at the chief. "True," the chief replied. "And after I am done with him, he still has to look forward to facing my daughter's wrath when he meets her in the afterlife." The Ashi sagged, he has yet to actually meet Hanabi. "I am so fucked," he thought, thinking how much his daughter was like him and the clan. Just then the 4 instructors showed up with just the breeze of the wind. "That's an hour, start your katas," Chief spoke as he walked towards the group. Everyone stood and headed for the clearing. "Sasuke," Chief barked. "What the fuck you doing, boy? Get your ass over then and start on those dishes." He pointed to Neji. Sasuke puffed up and was about to reply. Chief broke in. "You're the reason you and your partner were last, don't fucking try me, boy, your brother was one of the biggest fuck-ups I ever had to deal with. I beat his ass from one end of this valley to the other, you're not as bad as him yet, but he was a lot younger than you." Sasuke was stunned. No one had ever called his brother a fuck-up, even after he butchered the clan. He was always the best, the most dangerous, shinobi perfected. The news about how his brother was anything less, and without a single question Sasuke knew the chief wasn't lying, that the young Uchiha just went over and started on the dishes with Neji. The group was going through their kata. About 20 minutes in, Naruto suggested to his friends that everyone should do the standard. Shrugging, the boys and Hinata all switched to join Sakura and Ino, who had already been doing the standard kata. Chief smiled on the inside as everyone else, even the oldest members, just switched. As Neji entered the group he caught on and soon everyone was moving in step. Sasuke just looked at them and slipped into his own personal style once again, just ignoring the group. "Full counts," Chief called. And almost as if everyone switched and it flowed smoothly for most, Shikamaru was, in fact, seeing a pattern. "Naruto, why switch to standard?" Nara asked. "Standard style is designed to focus your chakra, where we burn chakra using different styles. The standard has the opposite effect and lets us switch to harder exercises," he replied. "When did you learn that?" Shika replied as he thought about it, he felt that he had heard that before somewhere. "Second year when we first started learning the kata," Naruto replied, and many of the group groaned as they indeed remembered. "That is why Sakura's chakra control is so good, the standard is the only one she uses." Pink did not reply as she tried to think about the last few years at the academy, wondering when the idiot got so smart. "Back to kata," Chief called and again it went almost smoothly. Almost, simply because Sasuke was not following the group and went back to his family's high-energy high-impact chakra-draining style. And he was getting tired. Then after a while Chief again switched them back to full counts. True, everyone was tired, but they were managing to find a rhythm that did not wear them out. Sasuke stopped, on his hands and knees as he panted. "So I have the set," Chief spoke as he stepped in front of the panting boy. "I have trained the last 3 generations of Uchiha here in this camp. Your father, brother, and grandfather all hailed as prodigies, geniuses, best of the best. And everyone one of them has proven to be all bark." Chief just turned and walked away. "Fuck you," Sasuke screamed. "I am better than all these fools." He stood up and pointed to his fellow classmates. "You would see that if you stopped spending all your time with them and focused on me." His tantrum was stopped as Chief's fist was buried into the prick's stomach. Sasuke was knocked out. Chief just pulled the boy over his shoulder. "Dog, you're in charge. Naruto and Lee, you have dish duty after dinner. This little prick and I have to have a chat. Neji, stay in camp. This will be a time I forgive you for not knowing where your partner is." And Chief just walked into the woods. Dog stepped forward and took the place Chief had stood at the head of the formation. The group moved as one, every action in sync under his mask. Dog smiled, then waved his hand and gave the signal to switch back to kata. And before long he gave a new signal for cool down, stretching and breathing. When it was done a chime sounded and Dog, without ever saying a word, just pointed to the kitchen tables where their dinner was waiting and dismissed them all. Each let out a shared sigh. To say they were tired was an understatement. All were exhausted and sweaty. And stank. They may have washed the shit from their wounds, but not their clothes. Sakura and Ino wanted to complain, to bitch, to whine, but they couldn't. They could barely move as they went through the chow line. Even Guy and Lee showed signs of wear. The Uzumaki was the only one still standing without help. The meal finished without words, and as soon as it was, Naruto and Lee quickly got to washing. "Yosh, Naruto," Lee called, sending a shiver through Tenten and Niji's spines. "Let us see who washes dishes the quickest." "Yes, Lee," Guy shouted. "Find the opportunity to improve yourself in every event." "Aye, sensei." Lee. Crack, 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 crack. The 4 instructors Chief had left in charge all hit Guy with their canes. "Aye," Yugao spoke calmly. "Remember Chief's rule about that." The large green Jonin just gulped and nodded and waved for Lee to start his contest with Naruto. "Ladies," Yugao spoke up as Mai looked at them. "Grab your bathing gear and come with me." The 8 moved as quickly as they could to form up by the 2 instructors who just led them into the woods and up a hidden train. Sakura and Ino both noticed how Kyoko was showing a small grin as she walked. They found out why as they came upon a large natural hot spring. Next to it was a built-in shower area, so that even though it was built by humans, it looked natural. Wash up, then soak. They did not have to be told twice, as the Kenoichi quickly rushed to the hot water and scrubbed their boys almost raw before going to the large pool and sliding in with a deep sigh. Anko smiled as she watched Kurenai just place a rag over her face and relax. Tsubaki closed her eyes and thought about how much better she felt about herself. Ino and Sakura were trying to relax but kept worrying about being peeked in. They used to have very private baths with high walls and doors for privacy. "Relax, girls," Kyoko spoke. "This place has seals set to keep all males out. And so what if they peek?" Anko breaks in. "Just stick out and lift your breasts for them to stare at." She stood and demonstrated. The girls paled, but before any of the younger girls could speak, Mai arrived and removed her robe. What the group saw shocked them all. Except Yugao and Kyoko, who knew. The scars on her body were large, jagged, and brutal. They clearly showed just how much she was harmed. But the Kenoichi just smiled and slipped into the water, closing her eyes and giving her own private sigh. "How?" Hinata asked. How did you do it? Heels. Mai just opened her eyes and started singing, Yugao translated. First lesson you learn when you start your bodywork class is. Respect yourself. Don't ever judge your appearance on what other people think, otherwise you will be owned by them. If you can look in the mirror and love yourself, then nothing you do during a mission will harm you. That is not easy, I know, it takes time and a lot of effort. You must find who and what you are. And remember you're not alone. Anko nodded, she is right, our village has a large network set up to help girls and boys deal with missions. One of the tricks to being able to look yourself in the mirror after a mission, Yugao added on her own, is actually doing missions that you are good at and, here she nodded to Anko, enjoy. Anko smiled, yep, it's always a good tool, and since all heavy bodywork missions are strictly voluntary, a girl can basically become a specialist. I prefer the sadistic evil dominatrix, you would be shocked how many crime and drug lords actually like being put in a rubber suit and beat. Anko laughed at the blushes she was causing not just from the younger girls, but also Tsubaki. Then there is the big-tittied, slutty street hooker, more dangerous but very useful for stakeouts. I tend to enjoy dancing, Yugao started. So I have done a lot of stripper jobs. Not as demanding, but with all those drunk eyes watching can be just as scary. But that woman, Anko, pointed at Kurenai. She is the queen when she gets all dressed up in her kimono, a touch of makeup to add to that hair and those eyes. Anko started to talk a little louder. Then add in that umbrella she carries, oh. She had a classic beauty with just a small smile and a look that had men and women enticed and completely in her control. And that, Mai started again as Anko shifted over to wrap herself around Kurenai sliding behind the red-eyed woman. Is the key, that is the goal to put them in your control. This work is not meant to demean you, this work, if done right, gives you total control. Never forget, Kyoko spoke up. If you don't take all your training seriously, then one mistake can destroy you. Mai took 5 years to recover, my sister and I were part of the group chief had helped her. Mai nodded and closed her eyes again. Learn to love yourself for just yourself, that is lesson 1, Kurenai spoke as she removed the rag from her face and just looked at the girls. The girls thought of those words till Mai looked like she started choking, then they realized she was laughing silently. Sorry, I just had a flashback to a mission I was on. 9 years ago, she signed. Blue Oyster? Kyoko asked and when Mai nodded she smiled. Oh, that was a show. The Hyuga finished. The group looked at them, so Kyoko took the lead. The last mission I went on with Hisashi was about a month before Kumo tried to kidnap Hinata. We went in with Chief and Mai. Now the plan was to get me and Mai to seduce this guy with the idea of 2 women at once. Oh, that classic, very rarely does it fail, Anko smiled. Yeah, well, this one was one of those times, it turned out. He was gay. Kyoko laughed along with Yugao and Mai. What? Ino asked, confused. Hisashi had no skill in dealing with gay men, so since we needed the information this guy had, the chief had to do it. Some of the girls chuckled trying to imagine the big rough blunt man trying to act gay. Don't laugh, Kyoko stopped them and Mai started signing. I watched and felt like a novice in the art of seducing a man. The chief was so smooth and charming it scared us. I actually learned things that I did not know, Kyoko added. To this day I will never understand how he did it. Is he gay? No, Mai replied calmly. Just knows how to get a mission completed. What most of the ladies did not know was as soon as Naruto and Lee finished, Dog and Hei took them to their own private bath and were having a similar lesson. Is it hard? Kiba asked. I always thought. I don't know what I thought. You have to take into account some facts, Shino replied. Men don't always need to have good looks to entice many women, sometimes you just need to have money and the stupider ones seem to flock. At least, that's what I notice when I watch the bars and places like that. Naruto nodded. Right, but we have to watch out, the reason women are so good at this kind of work is men are really stupid around women. I have seen normally controlled men completely lose their focus, self-control and discipline the moment a pretty girl with revealing clothes starts to flirt with them. I mean, look at my perverted jutsu, it takes out everyone. A skilled prostitute or just a pretty thief can pick your pockets empty without you realizing it, even if they are not a Kenoichi, and if she is one. You could be dead without even realizing it. Then there are the missions where you have to seduce a woman or a man, and yes, those happen a lot, so don't look at me like that and close your mouths, Heiichi said as he saw the younger boys gaping at that idea. Shinobi going into the seduce a woman kind of mission will fail if they go into it thinking, sweet, a mission where I am required to get laid. Most of the time those missions require you to get close to women that are so ugly either on the outside, but mostly on the inside, that once you are done you can't even look at yourself in the mirror. Your hormones will work against you, Hisashi spoke up. It is natural but remember this. It is never as easy or as clean as you think. I hope to find a less troublesome woman to spend my life with, Shikamaru spoke as he relaxed in the water. He wanted to relax and switch the topic away from this lesson. I doubt that, Naruto laughed. You will probably find a woman that is stubborn, rude, demanding and overall completely troublesome. The blonde used his friend's words. And fall head over heels in love with her. Like you fell for Hinata. Choji spoke up and for a second Hiashi looked ready to play the protective father. But both Asuma and Dog just elbowed him in the ribs to shut him up. And I don't regret it. Naruto proclaimed. But I have absolutely no idea how to help her become a strong Kenoichi of the Leaf cause half the time I am trying like hell to protect her. Even when I know she can take care of herself. Well, at least you realize the problem, Hate spoke up. Even if you can't yet tell when to and when not to act all guardian spirit with her. Dog stood out of the water and dried off. The rest of the night is your free time, but remember, tomorrow comes earlier than you think. It was the first time anyone had heard ANBU speak and his voice was muffled, not even Naruto could identify him. And those that did not know who Dog was, knew that those that did would never tell, Law of the ANBU. Chapter 11. Sasuke hit the ground when Chief threw him off his shoulder, the boy woke up with a grunt as his body hurt. Chief did not speak, but he did do something no one had seen him do yet. He removed his leather coat. He had black reinforced utility pants, black leather boots, and a standard shinobi equipment pouch on his hip. He had a waistcoat over his long-sleeved white shirt and a simple blood-red tie. He looked more like a Western businessman than a shinobi. Unbuttoning the sleeves of his shirt he just rolled them up to his elbows. You think you're better than the rest? Prove it. Chief spoke and smiled while making a bring it gesture with both hands. Sasuke looked at the man for a second before getting to his feet and charging. Just before he reached him he leaped and went to give the older man a roundhouse kick. An inch from the chief's face Sasuke's foot was caught in the man's hand. Chief did not even flinch before spinning around holding the boy by the ankle before slamming him hard into the ground. That it? The chief asked as if this was nothing. Sasuke was hurting, but his childlike rage got him to his feet and started to punch and kick at the man. Sasuke could not see the chief moving, but he knew he had to be as he could not land anything, not a single shot. Sasuke stopped and leaped back in defense, which was pointless. Chief still hadn't moved. Getting some room Sasuke started to work on the hand signs for his clan's jutsu, calling out the great fireball, that was anything but great. It was maybe 2 feet across and moved far slower than it was supposed to, but it did make it to the chief. Who just backhanded it straight up into the air. Done? Chief replied, crossing his arms. Sasuke was panting now, he did not eat dinner and he had been using his chakra all day, then in his anger, he overloaded the fireball, which is why it failed. He would not quit, kunai and shuriken started to fly, ninja wire attached to many. Then when it looked like he had the man he sent more weak flames out. Nothing worked, in fact, nothing could land. Sasuke was thinking what to try next as he stared at the man, next thing he knew the chief was right in front of him with his fist in the boy's gut. Again. Sasuke was on his knees, what little he had in his stomach was now on the ground. I told you all, the academy instructors sabotaged all of you, you were catered to Chief started. They gave you everything to make you the best in the class. Sasuke looked up ready to argue. Those fights with Naruto, did you never notice he was always picked to get beat by you? Did you ever notice that after each spar no one ever stopped to help him improve for the next time, yet everyone was kissing your ass? They set him up so he would lose and you would look like you were stronger than everyone. You just proved in a real fight with someone properly trained you can't do anything. Sasuke was not stupid and he would prove it. He actually thought of the man's words looking for a way to prove him wrong. You. I am the head of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke started. I am the strongest, my clan is the strongest. Chief stared at the boy, yet I just beat your ass without even trying. As for your clan being the strongest. What clan? Sasuke was stunned again. He wanted to scream at the man. Tell me, child, Chief asked with venom in his words. Do you even know what or who you are? Do you even have goals in life? I must rebuild my clan, bring honor back to it. I must kill my brother and become an avenger of my clan. Why? Chief asked. Why must you kill your brother? The chief asked as he walked to sit down on a large rock. He killed my family. How do you know? Chief asked as if he was checking the weather. I saw him. Oh, so you hid in the corner and watched him kill your family and clan. Even the small children, like a coward. Sasuke jumped to his feet and attacked again, nothing landing as the chief just blocked everything without getting up. Panting Sasuke stopped and hit his knees again. No. He showed me around. Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi, Chief interrupted. The Jinjutsu. Yes, he is. The Jinjutsu? Chief asked again. A technique used to make one see and believe in something that is not real. Sasuke stopped and stared. Chief waited, but the looks in the boy's eyes made it clear this would be a long wait. So he moved on. Bring honor back to your clan. Seeing as you are showing the heads and the future heads of the other clans just how big of a selfish ass you are. Might not be working for you. Chief spoke as he took a cigarette pack, one he stole from Asuma out of his pocket, pulled a stick and just lit it. I suggest, Chief continued after taking a drag. You rethink how you plan to regain your clan's honor, but rebuild your clan. That will be easy. What does that mean? Sasuke finally snapped out of his thoughts. You're a genius, you're an idiot, Chief replied. Did you never read the notices from the council meetings regarding you? Chief wished he had a camera, the look on the boy's face was so stupid it had to be real. The academy, the village council, don't you see what they are doing? The boy finally shook his head. Every one of the 5 major villages has a blood limit breeding program, even though theirs is much quieter. Most villages like Kumo and Iwa, they just kidnap men and women with rare bloodlines and force them to breed. But Konoha. Theirs is the largest and the worst, it is called the Clan Restoration Act, or the CRA for short. Wait, that's not a breeding program, it's supposed to help rebuild clans. Breeding on a mass scale is part of rebuilding clans, Chief interrupted. Now shut up and listen. The reason no one realized it was the village's program is because of how it was done. They invite someone with a blood limit to the village. Give them housing, a seat on the council, bend over backward to convince them to join the CRA, not hard as men are encouraged to have multiple wives, and are quickly introduced to many very willing women. Most times, if the bloodline comes from a woman, then she is made a lady of the court and her sons are put into the CRA. It is easier for a man to sire more children in a short amount of time than it is to get one woman to have kids quickly. Sasuke huffed, get to the point. The point is the village council has set you up. You're in the CRA, you are required to have at least 2 women pregnant by 16. Not 1 but 2 minimum, they want you to have 10 to 15 wives. Sasuke was stunned and his ass hit the ground hard. Why? Chief smiled, best question you have asked. They want to control you, they give you everything, power, respect, women, the basic things that can corrupt a normal man, and in return you are willing to help them by gaining total control of the village. They wanted me to be Hokage. Uchiha replied. He had never wanted that. The truth is he never wanted anything but to kill his brother. Yes, and part of their plan was to give you wives that would steer you into the hat and their pocket. That is stupid. Uchiha clan law states no woman can marry the clan head that is not a Chunin rank or higher, and they have to be within 5 years of age. No shit, why else do you think there are more girls in your class than there has been in the last? Since the war. All of them the daughters or nieces of the council, well, all but 2. Sasuke looked at the man confused. Neither Ino nor Sakura's parents pushed them to chase you, in fact, they tried to get them to stop, but your dark brooding persona is a magnet for most girls in the world, and as a natural act of child rebellion, they still chase you. Lot good that will do, there. Here, the chief interrupted. They are here suffering to improve themselves. Haven't you noticed that after the first day they have not jazzed you? Chief stood, grabbed his coat and draped it over his arm. You have a lot of things to deal with that are far more important than your brother. Is there anything that could be done? The boy asked, showing signs of fear. The Hokage and I have done all we can, normally when some bullshit like this happens, the Hokage just sends me out to kill everyone that voted for this and then have a new vote. The problem is the Fire Lord voted for this, that is one I cannot kill unless I commit open treason, we cannot get you out of the CRA. 2 wives or more, end of story, but we did get the age changed. Sasuke waited. We showed that the death rate of girls giving birth at age 16 was much higher than those women at age 21, so he agreed. Engaged or married at 16, but children are not required till the girl is 21. What happens if I don't? Sasuke asked. Don't succeed or don't even try. Try, the boy replied. They cut your balls off, steal your land and imprison you for life. Sasuke paled. Right now, you are a perfect target, alone, hateful and by your own hand. Friendless. Now come, you will need to be awake in about 6 hours to get breakfast. The chief just grabbed him by the collar of the shirt and marched him through the woods to camp. Most were asleep, but he saw Iruka and Naruto talking by the fire pit. As the rest all got from the water Naruto stayed, Asuma and Guy convinced Lee to leave as well, leaving Naruto and his old teacher staring at each other. You okay, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked, breaking the silence. The man with the scar on his nose opened his eyes. What do you mean? You have not spoken since we got here, you barely spoke during that death march, and today. You haven't said anything. I had a lot on my mind, I have been questioning everything I thought I knew. The teacher stood and got dried and dressed. Let's head back, staying too long in a hot spring can do more harm than good. Naruto nodded and he and his teacher quickly returned to the camp where they saw most were bedding down. Tucci was finishing whatever he was preparing for the next day. When the cook saw the 2 and more important the looks on his faces, he just nodded and left them to their privacy. So, why would you question yourself? Naruto asked. I failed you, I failed all my students. If it was not for the chief I would have sent you all into the world of Shinobi unprepared and probably got you all killed. The man started with fear in his voice. I never noticed your endless energy. I just thought you weren't trying, I never saw how the other teachers were simply setting you up to fail while making the others look stronger than they were. I failed as a teacher, then after I started looking to you as a little brother I failed as a brother. Naruto waited for the man to continue after that. Done. Iruka just nodded. Good. Bullshit, Naruto simply replied, which caused the man to start to react and reprimand the boy's language. Sensei, by the time we got to know each other, Naruto interfered. I gave up trying in class, the constant failure made me lose my focus, I only stayed in class cause I knew how many of them wanted me to quit. Then you came into my life, you tried your hardest to help fix all the hate and sabotage those other teachers tried. Yes, they messed me up good, but part of your trouble was I had actually started to give up, so thank you for reminding me to never give up. Naruto smiled, till you came along I almost broke my nindu, about the time you started to try and help me was when I really started hanging out with the guys. Without you, I doubt any of this could have happened all because you are the best teacher in that academy. Iruka smiled, anyway, I can convince you never to use that perverted jutsu again. He asked, hoping against hope. The chief encouraged me to improve it. So. Nope, the blonde smiled that big grin of his. The two talked for hours about random things that neither of them would remember later, then both turned to see Chief returning still holding Sasuke by the collar as he marched him to his tent before the older man just walked up to them. So get your shit sorted. Chief asked as if he had been listening to the two the whole time. At this point neither Naruto nor Iruka would be surprised if he somehow had been. Both nodded before the chief continued, then I suggest you two shut up and get some sleep. Iruka just nodded as he quickly stood only for Naruto to chuckle. Might want to just sleep here. Why? Iruka asked, confused. I just saw Kurenai slip into your and Asuma's tent when she thought no one saw her, Naruto smiled. Both Iruka and Chief turned and looked at the tent, they could barely hear two bodies shifting around quietly in the tent. It will be raining by breakfast so might as well go and use Kurenai's bed. Chief nodded as if it was simple. What's the worst that could happen? With Anko? Naruto laughed seeing his teacher pale. Anything. Iruka just went to sit back down. Let me rephrase that, Chief started and pointed at the tent that held the snake woman now. As Iruka slowly walked away heading for what he thought was his doom. So, Naruto started. Craw. When did you learn about that? The chief asked with a smile. Me and the guys were setting up a prank about a month ago on the village council. Shino had left one of his allies as a lookout, he overheard and reported it. And they had the nerve to say you had no skill, keep that quiet, the prick took it hard, Chief replied as he turned away. Getting some sleep tomorrow should be worse. The lightning flashed and thunder rolled, Naruto and Lee were both lifted out of their bunks and down to the wood floor. The sound of the rain hitting the side of their tent resembled a typewriter with 1,000 fingers going at full speed. The two boys got up as another flash and boom shook their tent. Checking his watch, he found it was 3:30, he looked out and saw the rain coming down harder than he had ever seen before. Well, time to get up, Naruto spoke as he started to dress. You sure it is a little early? Lee asked as he dressed. Chief is out there in the rain eating a bowl of something, and I doubt we will get any more sleep. Just then his point was emphasized as the loudest boom of thunder shook the camp. But point. So. Rain gear? Lee asked, grabbing a poncho. Nah. Knowing Chief he will have us sweating so much the cool rain on our skin will feel like heaven. Leaving their tent becoming soaked in a second Naruto went to Hinata and Tenten's tent and knocked. We are up to Naruto, Hinata replied. And he heard the other girl growl a whisper not that anyone could sleep through that. Next was Sasuke and Neji who were both sitting on their bed staring at each other. Neji, Sasuke, the boys greeted each other when Naruto knocked. We are awake, Sasuke growled. Thank you, Neji added. Sasuke had a lot on his mind. And he did not know how to start. So, he went to the old standby, bottled it up and told no one. Neji could read him well enough that he knew whatever happened between his grandfather and the Uchiha was life-changing. And knowing what it felt like for the chief to completely destroy your world in a second, Neji just kept his mouth shut. Naruto turned and found Hinata and Tenten walking up with the guys all dressed. The blonde noticed even in the dark raining pre-morning that Hinata had a blush. You okay Hinata-chan? Naruto asked, causing the girl to smile and blush more. We just woke up Sakura and Ino, how they could have still been asleep in this, Tenten spoke as the thunder rolled again. Let me guess, the girls were in one bed wrapped in each other's arms. Naruto asked calmly. How was it? Tenten started. It was how I found them yesterday, Naruto replied. The two girls stared at him. From what their moms told our moms, Shika started with a bored yawn. This is common for when the girls have sleepovers and ask us not to make a deal of it. Tenten thought and just shrugged as Hinata smiled as they all turned to head to where the chief was. Iruka walked out of the tent very quickly and headed over to where Naruto stood with the chief. If anyone noticed he had left the tent that Anko and Kurenai shared or noticed that Kurenai had left the tent he and Asuma shared, no one said anything. So after surviving sharing a tent with Anko, Naruto whispered to his teacher. Who blushed deep. Kurenai was standing with Asuma, Guy, Tsubaki, and Genma. Raiden had walked over to the large fire burning in the pit as the rain continued to come down. Out of nowhere Anko leaped on her back and wrapped her arms and legs tighter and just nuzzled the taller woman's neck. Most that did not know the snake summoner thought that she had a good night. Kurenai knew better. Let me guess, you were laying on top of your blanket in your normal sleepwear, in short nothing at all, when he walked in and saw you and quickly just got on the bed, put his back to you and covered his head with the blanket. Kurenai asked in a teasing voice. Anko frowned. Why do you say that? Tsubaki asked. She is only ever this frisky this early in the morning after I have spent time with Asuma and she ended up having a very unsatisfying night, Kurenai replied, causing Anko to stick her tongue out and pout. Anko was actually pouting, for those that had never seen it. Meanie, I should bite your ear, Anko replied. Right here in front of everyone. Kurenai just reached with one hand to hug the back of her friend's head while her other dropped down and smacked her on the butt. Behave. At this point Ino and Sakura finally got out of their tent wearing ponchos, but seeing as no one else was, they quickly put them back, though they shivered in the pouring rain. G finished his bowl and looked around, the large fire was the only light and it was flickering on their faces. Since we have an hour before the food is ready, start stretching. The group quickly got into formation, even Sasuke moved a little faster and started to get limber up. Anko made a joke to Kurenai, only for her and Yugao, who had sneaked her way over, to again spank the girl telling her to behave. Shino, Naruto started. This storm is like the one in the forest. No, this one is natural, but I have never seen one this large before in the land of fire. Me either, Shika replied. It is almost like some divine being is watching us and just making our time here harder and harder just to help the chief. Very troublesome. Joji snorted, if that's true then we should not try to entice this being anymore than we already have. We should thank the being for giving us a day that will truly test our youthful flames. Lee cheered only for Guy to call out how proud he was of his student. But there was no beach sunset this time, as the chief just watched. Sasuke watched on as he stretched and looked at his partner, they always like that. Worse, but they are holding back, Niji replied. Chief Kuzai seems to be able to control my Jonin-sensei. Something I did not think was possible. The Uchiha stayed quiet as he thought about something before. I don't know how to work as a team. I have always had to do things alone, Sasuke started. Or at least I thought I had to. I understand, when I was placed on the team with Lee I felt insulted, I thought I was better than them. Guy-sensei earned my respect by beating my gentle fist. But I honestly felt that my team was just holding me back. Niji replied. I was a person enslaved by fate who was an ass to basically everyone. And twice as bad to those that tried to be nice to me. Hinata? Sasuke asked as he looked at Niji, who just nodded. So, Kurenai thought as she listened. That is why he put those two on the same team. And as she stretched, looked at the chief who just walked around. Every minute that she was around him she learned more, as a soon-to-be Jonin-sensei she thought she was prepared, but now she was getting a stronger education on how to train. She would not be as brutal as him most of the time, but she is learning how to organize a team. Of course she was lucky, she already knew who her team would be. And, I was glad to see they already knew and liked each other and were learning how to work together. She felt bad for Asuma, sure Shikamaru and Choji worked well together, but the bleach blonde was still not a team player and spent most of her time training with the pink, but she did admit that those two had greatly improved since that first day. She knew that was due to the fact he requested Anko, till now Kurenai had not understood why anyone would want to put Anko in charge of those girls armed with a cane. Then there was the last team, she knew Kakashi was the Jonin assigned to Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto. But that team was just trouble from the start. She liked Naruto and wished she could have had a four-man team with the blonde joining her three. But Sakura was a bitch and Sasuke Uchiha was worse. Though that was changing as she watched, she could not see how that team was going to work. Hey, I did it, Choji called out as he was able to stretch forward enough so his fingers were on the soles of his feet. Good job Choji, Hinata called. Yeah, Naruto smiled. I can't hold it, Choji cried out as his hands were slipping. Just then the sole of a heavy boot was placed between his shoulder blades. Chief had come up behind the boy and was holding him in the stretch, count. Choji did, he started counting out loud and when he hit 30 Chief released him. Then as he was about to have the large boy do it again, the bell for dinner sounded. Go eat everyone, Hinata Tenten you're on cleanup, Chief called. They ate quickly and when all were finished Hinata and her partner quickly went to wash the dishes. Hinata. Chief spoke as he stepped up to the girls. Sorry, we have not had our talk yet. That is fine chief, she replied politely. It can wait till this training camp is done. The chief just nodded and went back and watched as the group started doing their katas while they waited. Good they are not wasting time. The storm raged around them, but no one seemed to notice, not even the two ex-fangirls, though they did shiver in the cold. As soon as Hinata and Tenten were done they joined the group in katas. As the clock quickly ticked away they all got into a rhythm and soon all but Sasuke was in sync using that standard form. Sasuke, Niji whispered. Remember what happened yesterday, he will drain you dry of chakra, use the standard. Sasuke was thinking about that, he did not know how to argue it, but he wanted to. The Uchiha just shifted in step with the rest, Chief checked his watch regularly and when it hit 6 in the morning, full counts. The order was met with the sounds of everyone slipping into exercise. So glad you are back Chief, Hiruzen spoke out to his empty office as he watched the orb. He had been working and watching everything, not only during the training camp. He was damn proud to see Naruto take the role of leader, even the old shinobi were adapting to the young blonde. He breathed a small sigh of relief as he watched the Uchiha start to change this morning, though he did feel the chief told the boy a little too much. But it couldn't be changed now. One of his ANBU guards stepped from the shadows, Hokage-sama. He asked. Hiruzen looked up, and I ask a question. The Hokage sat back in his chair, lit his pipe and waited. Taking that as a go-ahead. Why do you favor the boy so much? Yes, I know who his father was but. He walks in the tower as if he runs it, bypasses all our security and steals your hat. Or sets up some embarrassing prank to make you look foolish. Why do you allow it? It is tradition, the old man replied, and when the ANBU looked confused even with the mask the Hokage could tell. The first had a saying, children will always see what older more experienced shinobi will always miss, you say he comes in slipping past all our security. How many holes in the security have you closed up once Naruto showed you what they are? The ANBU thought of this. The first wanted to motivate the young kids to improve their skills, so he would give rewards to any student that could get to him. A bar of chocolate was his normal choice, he used that to help keep him sharp and on the lookout for intruders and assassins. His game with the students was actually what helped him survive the assassin Kakazu. In my youth, I also tried to capture this hat, though I did not normally succeed. In that regard Naruto has surpassed me. Those words shocked ANBU, all of them that were hidden in the room. Jiraiya would try and mostly fail, even the fourth would be caught looking to prank me, there have been a few others, but no one has had as much success as Naruto does, why should I punish him for doing something every cage before me has done? By keeping us, he waved at himself and the ANBU. On our toes, he is keeping us sharp. If the price for that knowledge is a bowl of ramen or a little embarrassment on my part, I am a big boy and I can handle it. Why should I stop him? The ANBU nodded, sorry, Hokage-sama. The Hokage waved it off. Your job is to protect me, though Naruto is not a real threat. I want you to do your duty to the best of your abilities, do not make it easy for the boy. Just don't kill him when you catch him. The ANBU nodded and slipped back into his hiding place. Hiruzen smiled, you want that file Naruto, this time you will have to truly earn it. He then looked back at the orb and froze, Naruto had a strange smile on his face. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoy it. If you want the next part of this video, turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe and comment down below. And also check out the others videos I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video.